Do we start?
Yeah, let's go.
So, welcome.
Some of you have known that we are long distance or have always been long distance, and we kind of want to just come on and talk it through.
And then we also have it in the future in case we forget everything.
So our story starts in summer of 2021. I was moving from my 2-year stint in Boise State University as a graduate assistant, moving from Boise back to California. I have family in Portland, Oregon, so my mom and I packed up everything, started our drive to Hayward, California, stopped in Portland, Oregon for a weekend. So while we were there, I got a notification that Erica liked me on Hinge, and I was like, oh, that's weird, that's funny. I wasn't looking, but I looked at her profile. I was like, oh, she's cute, she's pretty, she looks very wholesome. So I shot my shot with a really great pickup line that I thought was great.
Yeah, so he sent a really cheesy pickup line, and it was at the point where it was so bad, I was actually debating on not replying. But I just decided to reply to see what would happen. But conversation flowed really easily. We got each other's social media. We started having conversations on all 3 platforms. So like Snapchat, we had conversation, Instagram, I think text too, all different topics. A lot of my Hinge dates or Hinge matches didn't last past 2 weeks. And I would joke that Nick passed my 2-week mark, so that was good on him.
Yeah. So to preface, I accepted a position at Washington State University, which is in Pullman, Washington, which is roughly 6 hours from where she's at in Oregon. But before then, I had about 2 months before I would need to go and move there. So I stayed back at home, chilled, unwinded, unpacked, kind of did my own thing for a little bit to prepare for that. And while in the midst of that, we were talking after one workout session. I don't really remember how this came about, but we were joking around saying, oh, I type faster, you type faster.
Yeah.
So we decided to FaceTime for the first time, and albeit it was a speed typing match in a sense. I won, but that was our first time FaceTiming. And then as I was starting to transition into my move to Pullman, Washington, I FaceTimed her. We just kept going back and forth, talking about life, talking about how we got to where we are, talking about our family situations, just everything, just to get to know each other more. And then I moved to Washington.
Yeah, so once Nick moved to Washington, I had a little space of time between semesters, and we had been talking for a little while at that point, and I didn't want to waste more time just like online if it wasn't going to go anywhere. So I proposed the idea to Nick that between my semesters, I go to visit him for a weekend just to see how things are. This idea, I brought it up with friends and family. My parents, it did not sit very well with them. Like, to be fair, if I had a kid and they wanted to drive 6 hours to meet this random guy on Hinge, I would not be down for that either.
Fair.
But I did it anyway. I shared my location with like all my friends, sent my friends Nick's address, kept everyone in the loop the entire drive, and the whole weekend that I was there, Nick was not a serial killer, so that's good. I did also have a hunch that he wasn't a serial killer. On Snapchat, he would send me snaps of him taking his grandma grocery shopping, so it wasn't serial killer vibes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Plan was set, right? She was on her way here. I was shitting myself. I'll be honest. Her making the first move was very attractive. I wasn't even the one to think about that idea. I didn't really fathom it, honestly. And when she proposed it, I was like, whoa, this is real. Like, she wants to do this. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I'm on my phone watching her as she's driving. I told my cousins, some of my close family members, like my sister. I've just been coined a serial dater. And there was a bet within my cousins wondering when I would be talking to someone else again. Let's just say I lost the bet. So as she's on her way, I'm looking at my phone. I have her location. I'm like, oh, it's getting closer, it's getting closer, it's getting closer. And I'm just getting more nervous. I cleaned my whole apartment before she came. I even made her pause stickers because I didn't know if she was hungry or not, but I was like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
So she arrives, she goes the wrong way, and I'm like, okay, come back this way. I run outside, I run down the hill to where I think she is, see her car, jump in without saying anything, say hi, and then just point her to where to go.
I mean, I knew who you were. You just probably shouldn't let strangers into your car right off the bat like that. Yeah, the weekend turned out super well. It wasn't awkward at all. Like, oh my god, stop. We ended up FaceTiming my parents while we were there too, just to show them that, you know, Nick wasn't a killer. And we tried to go stargazing. That didn't work out. There's a point, I think it was the last night or the second last night, that we just started talking in British accents randomly. I don't know, but it was a good weekend.
That really started our relationship. Not to say us talking in the summer didn't start it, but when we first met in person, I feel like that was what kind of really sparked us. And like, it took me to the point where we met each other in person. I was like, oh, I do like her. So that was our first time meeting. The second time is my turn to go visit her in Oregon. So next time we saw each other, I knew by then that I wanted us to be in a relationship. I wanted to ask her to be my girlfriend.
So this has been like 4 months after starting to talk.
Yep. So me being kind of old school and like a little bit of a romantic, I wanted to be very official and like legitimately ask her to be my girlfriend, right? So I planned for us to go to an arboretum or just walk in a park somewhere. For the week leading up to the meetup or the hangout or the weekend, I made origami. Oh, yep, she's grabbing it. I handmade origami roses. This took me so long. You want to pull one out, see if they can see it? Maybe we'll see. And
focusing.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. So I made a full jar of that. Bought us a yin and yang bracelet. So we got to the park, right? And I had the jar underneath my arm wrapped in a jacket, and I'm sure like she knew something was up.
Yeah,
like,
it was pretty obvious.
It was pretty obvious I was gonna do
We
something.
got out of the car and Nick says, okay, hold on, and then goes to his back seat, pulls out this chunk of a sweater. I'm like, what is that? He's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not very discreet at all, but it worked out perfectly, I would say, you know, and she, well, I mean, obviously said yes.
So, October 8th, 2021, it was official. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. That's true. Nick is my first boyfriend and my first husband.
Better be your first and last.
With me being busy with optometry school and then Nick busy with work, and, you know, like new job and everything, we try to make some trips to visit each other every, like, month or so, every few weeks for a weekend. But otherwise, it'd just be FaceTime dates in the evenings after Nick was done work. It was actually that same year. So October we got together. November was American Thanksgiving. And I flew down to Nick's family for American Thanksgiving a month after we're official. I met his entire family, like parents, siblings, cousins, everything. So that was pretty quick. Also something that my parents maybe were like, are you going too fast? But I did it anyway.
And then on top of that too, I met Erica's optometry friends, and she met like my athletes at work. We made a lot of memories together, and long distance wasn't too bad at this point at all.
Okay.
But I want to add that with long distance relationships, I feel like if both parties are good texters, communicators, it works out very well. Like it's doable. It's not easy, but it's doable.
Yeah, that would have been my third year, and then long distance continued into fourth year, where I was all around the U.S. on rotations. Nick moved jobs to San Jose, so back to California for work. And at this point, distance was getting a little bit more difficult in terms of time zone. So I would be like Utah, Salt Lake City. That was a time zone change. Then I was in Pennsylvania. That was a 3-hour change. Back in Oregon, and then back up to Canada. So that added some stress, and there were also some familial tensions that we won't get into, but it really challenged our relationship a year into it, really not even a full year into it.
Yeah. With the rotations that she went on to, there were like 4 locations, and I'm thankful and grateful that with my job I have a little bit more leeway in terms of when I can take time off. And thankfully, I was able to take time off this year at every single location. So the first place was July 4th weekend at Utah Salt Lake. And the best part about this was that High School Musical was shot at East High School. We fight about which one's the best one. I say High School Musical 1. but she says high school.
Third.
Yeah.
It's the best music.
I digress. We went there. We went to an arboretum. We did a lot of stuff, and it was really fun. Like, her second rotation was in Pennsylvania, Lebanon.
That's when Nick learned where Pennsylvania was. He booked a flight to visit me, and he didn't know where he was flying to. He thought he was flying closer to Georgia, but in fact, he learned Pennsylvania is like right beside New York, like East Coast.
I didn't know Pennsylvania was in the East Coast. That's pretty bad American of me.
Yeah.
We also celebrated our anniversary there.
Yeah, our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, which is
It
crazy.
was a little late, but
a couple days later.
Yeah.
But we celebrated, and it was kind of like timing with your birthday weekend also, so that we kind of mixed both together. But it was a quick turnaround. It was like 2 nights, 3 days, something like that. Next rotation was in Oregon, so she went back to Oregon, Salem, but that was nice because we're in the same time zone then, which was easier than the 3-hour time zone difference. Because when she was in Pennsylvania, I would get off work and she would be getting ready to go to bed. So like, and I had a 45 commute home, maybe an hour, and that was just a little bit harder for us at that point because we really didn't have much time together until the weekends or anything like that. And that was like peak during football season. But back in Salem, Oregon, it was so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Port Alberni, it was my last rotation, and that means I was graduating soon. It's blinking blue.
Look, no, it's not.
Okay. Break. Sorry, I had to check on the microphone. It's low battery. It was near the end of Port Alberni, so I was graduating soon, and this began some more hard conversations about where I was going to go after graduation. So I was debating between staying in the US, so writing the California licensure exam, finding a job down there and extending my student visa, or moving back to Canada where the process would be a lot easier because I did have a job offer in Edmonton already. So it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of mental breakdowns deciding on what I wanted to do with life. Some more familial tensions came in, a lot of stress and drama, but eventually came to the decision that I was gonna move back to Canada after graduation.
That was a very hard time for us. I mean, all I could really do was give her my input and then just support her as she navigates through it, because I'm not gonna tell her what she should do with her life, right? As much as we want to be together, you know, her life is her life, and I respect that, and I would respect any of the decisions that she made, and we're still here. Yeah, and she's working at the job that she was offered. She's still here. Now,
and I like it. I do like the job.
Yeah, I've met her coworkers and staff members, and they're all really nice.
They all want me to stay.
And that means she's doing a good job. And now we fast forward to the year of 2024, which is when I have started planning the proposal. Behind her back, she didn't know a single thing about what I was doing.
Besides, we went shopping for wedding rings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we went to several jewelers, maybe 2 to 3 jewelers. We took photos, we talked to jewelers. So I had a good idea of what she wanted. So while I was planning the proposal, we went to China with her family. They invited me with them. We were there for a week. And that was where I asked her parents for permission.
So yeah, and then in May, this would have been 2024, we planned a trip to Banff with Nick's sister and Nick's cousin, so Alyssa and Samuel. And I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, fun little trip. I had a hunch maybe a proposal was happening. Once we got there, didn't think too much of it. It was the last night in Banff. And I was like, you know, it hasn't happened yet. It probably won't happen. Then Nick surprised me. He did it when I was least expecting it.
Yeah, we went hiking, and she thought I was going to do it there.
I had a hunch, but then I was like, it's not the vibe for it.
Yeah. Also, that hike was, I was being an ass.
Well, you weren't an ass. You're just really nervous.
I was nervous because it was supposed to be only a 2-hour hike, but it turned out to be 3 hours because
there's a lot of snow at the top still. And I knew what I was doing. Nick didn't believe me. So I started walking ahead, like finding a trail and everything, but Nick was telling me to slow down because he was scared that we were going to get lost, but we didn't.
So I proposed in the Fairmont in Banff, and if you guys don't know where that is, it is... Whoa.
Oh,
what is it? So if you guys don't know where the Fairmont in Banff is, it is the hotel of Banff.
Super bougie.
Super
bougie, super expensive.
High-end expensive. And we had a all-you-can-eat complimentary breakfast.
It has 6 kinds of milk.
six kinds of
and like smoked salmon and stuff.
So I planned all this out 3-4 months in advance. Like talked to the some planners at the Fairmont, got reservations at a restaurant at the hotel site where they have 3 really nice restaurants. Went to the bathroom. Our videographer, photographer went in there. My cousin Samuel was in there. He gave me a great pep talk. Thank you, Samuel. He brought me the ring, a belt. I got the mics put on. But she didn't really suspect anything. She might have thought I was pooping.
Yeah, I thought he was pooping.
Yeah. So did that. We walked out, grabbed her, and we kept walking. She got a little suspicious of where we were going. And then we walked through these double doors to the balcony.
Yeah.
Where my whole setup was.
Yeah.
And then she saw one camera.
Well, at first, I was really confused because I thought we were blocking something that they were recording. I'm like, Nick, we gotta get out of the way. Yeah. And then turns out it was for us.
It all worked out to how I wanted it to be, but it was a little bit windy because we're up in the mountains.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
even then, that made it to be more memorable. And
shout out to Nick's cousin, like Jen and Jimmy. They did a lot too.
Yeah,
they did a lot.
Yeah, but
then fast forward to October 2024, we got married. I guess we flew my family all down to California, and it was our parents' first time meeting. At the wedding. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking, but it turned out fine. Both parents speak Cantonese, so they got along in that sense. We got married in Santa Clara. And yeah, it was my family's first time in California as well, or at least in the Bay Area. So we made sure they had got a lot of food, got to see the Bay Bridge, all the touristy stuff. So it was a full week of activities. They got to see Nick in action at one of his football games, so that was fun.
We're married now. The paperwork's put in. Now we're just waiting for the next steps of when we can be physically together, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
We've already started talking about it, and we're starting wedding planning and everything too.
So wedding's coming 2026.
Technical difficulties.
Okay, filming inconsistencies, lighting is different, positions are different. Mike died, we had to regroup. We know our relationship is not conventional. We never had the ability to date on normal terms, so we never had the ability for Nick to just pick me up for a date, drop me off afterwards. Never had the weekend dates or anything. We always had to plan a trip to see each other, plan a flight, plan a road trip, just to spend a few days with each other. But having said that, we know that we don't have the hardest relationship out there. We know that there's people who have longer distances. They don't see each other for longer periods of time. We're lucky that we're privileged enough in our jobs and financial wise that we are able to afford the time off, able to afford the flights, gas to go see each other. And having said that, we've had our struggles with long distance relationships, from smaller things like not being able to come home after a long day and just hug each other, to bigger things like figuring out what country we want to be in, figure out our career goals and how they can mesh together in the future.
And the change in what we envisioned where we would be 5 years later.
And that is something that we're still working on too. Also in therapy, we go to therapy regularly. But at least for me, it's kind of postponing the typical life stages and when they're gonna happen. If we have kids, they're gonna come later. Living together, that's gonna come later. Stuff like that.
For long distance relationships and just relationships in general where you're apart, having a goal in mind that you both agree on helps you work towards something. It was very hard for us when we didn't know when the next time we would see each other, what our plans were in the future. But once we sat down and solidified those things, it got easier.
Yeah. We just know that there's a lot of work ahead of us, especially with wedding planning, moving planning, citizenship planning.
Yeah. The cheesy lines hold truth. And as cheesy and cliche as they sound, the good things are... Oh shit, I don't even know. How does it go again?
Oh, no. The best things in life are something you have to fight for, and that's what we believe.
Ew, never mind. I don't like that. Cut that
that's
out.
What wrote.
Cut that out. Cut that out. Cut that out.
Anyway, that's our long distance story.
Yeah.